What is the selfish gospel? That's what we're going to talk about, and this is episode 1.
I wanna cover all of my scars. Just find a place to hide away like a flower to the wall. I could join the circus, heard they leave at dawn. Or I could find a ship and charter it, sail away to Avalon. 'Cause nothing hurts like a broken heart from someone who loved you. And I don't wanna end that way with someone that's like you.
There are 3 tenets of the selfish gospel. 1, God is all about me. 2, I am all about God. 3, sin is between me and God. These are the 3 things that should drive us in our Christianity. A lot of times we're confused about sin. We're confused about the gospel. We're confused about the focus of the Christian life. We're confused about what it is we're supposed to be doing. And that's what the selfish gospel is about. It's about the fact that primarily, if not exclusively, Jesus has come so that you could be focused on Him and He focused on you. That's the selfish gospel. A lot of times in Christianity, we're focused out here. Everybody else, what are they doing? What are they doing? And what am I doing there, there, there? Am I going here? Am I going here? Am I going to church? What am I here? What am I there? And how do I look? How do I dress? How do I talk? That's an externalized view of the world. It's a naturalistic view. The gospel is about this transformation of the inner person. Paul even says, hey, the outer person's perishing, but the inner person is being renewed day by day. So the selfish gospel is, hey, this is the main arena of action. It's about you. God is about you. God is all about dealing with this, and you should be all about God and all about God dealing with this.
Do I make you nervous? Do I make you weak? Do I make you stand a little taller when I follow your lead? When I can't admit it, do you know I'm scared? You make me wanna quit defending all this armor I wear. Nothing hurts like a broken heart by someone who loved you. And I don't wanna end that way with someone that's like you.
Did you know that early churches and even medieval churches were often built patterned after ships? There's a story about a boat in Matthew chapter 14, starting at verse 22. You may know this story. It's a story of Jesus sending the disciples ahead of him across the lake, and him staying afterwards to dismiss crowds, and then him going up to pray alone. And then he decides to come out to the apostles when they're in the middle of the lake by walking on water, right? So the apostles are in a boat. Like we talked about, this church's buildings are like a boat. The apostles are in a boat. Jesus comes to them. It says it was the 4th watch of the night when he came to them walking on the sea, right? You know the story. When they saw him, they thought he was a ghost and they were terrified. And he said, hey, take heart, take courage. It's I, don't be afraid. And so Peter is like, okay, if it's really you, Lord, command me to come out onto the water. And Jesus is like, okay, come. Like, what are you waiting for? So Peter gets out of the boat. He walks on the water and he was coming towards Jesus, but then he starts to look down. He sees the wind. He sees the waves. He becomes frightened and begins to sink, and he cries out, Lord, save me. Jesus immediately reached out, grabbed him, took him by the hand and said, oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt? And when they got into the boat, the wind stopped And those who were with him in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Surely you are the Son of God." When you were first saved, what's the first thing you started to do typically as a Christian? What were you told to do? Hey, now that you're saved, you need to come to church. You need to come to the services, come to the programs, get involved, right? So the first thing, if we think of a church building like a boat, like a vessel, right? And we're coming to this vessel. The first thing we can say is sometimes, guys, we get saved by Jesus, but we enter into a vessel that Jesus isn't in. Were you indoctrinated into a program, a building, a place, a people where Jesus isn't present? There is a purpose to the gathering of saints, to the body of Christ. And the purpose is that we would spend time with people in the boat learning about Jesus before he comes to us, right? And that's very interesting. The apostles were in the boat. You can be in the boat with a group of Christians, but what are you doing? Are you learning about Jesus so when he does come, you recognize him? Jesus wants to call us out of the boat, out of the church, out of the building, into the world. But you can't step out of the building if you don't know how to follow Jesus. Jesus talks about this in the Gospel of John. John chapter 10, to be specific. He talks about another kind of enclosure.
How long can I run? Regret all the mistakes that I made when I was young, 'cause we're flying so close to the sun. Maybe it's different now. I changed somehow. I'm no longer 21. I don't wanna end that way with someone that's like you.
A lot of churches are filled with baby Christians who are afraid of the outside world. And even if they venture out into the outside world, they're cloistered in their mind, in their heart. They don't know how to walk with Jesus in the world, through the world. And so shepherds, when they would lead their flock through the wilderness, at nighttime they would find rocks and they would put a bunch of rocks together and they would make a pen. In John chapter 10, Jesus talks about himself as the good shepherd. He says, starting in verse 2, "But the one who enters by the door is a shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep listen to his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he puts all his sheep outside, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice." Jesus is the shepherd. He walks with you. He wants to lead you out of the pen. He wants to call you out of the boat. Do you know his voice? Do you recognize Jesus? Do you trust Jesus? He wants to be able to have mature people that know his voice, that are able to get out of the boat, able to be called out of the pen into the world. But have you spent enough time in the boat? Have you spent enough time in the pen learning from people who do know Jesus, who do know his voice, how to know his voice for yourself in order to get out? Well, that's the first thing, guys. Most of the time, Christians have no business getting out of the boat because they haven't spent enough time in the boat learning who Jesus is before they're ready to get out. The playpen church, the cloistered church, the overly structured church isn't helping people get out. It's trying to keep them in. And it's actually keeping them from Jesus himself. It's not teaching them to know Jesus. It's not wanting them to follow Jesus out into the world. It wants to keep them and use them for their tithe, use them for the prominence that comes with having a large congregation, having a large building, having a large budget. The question is, are you ready to even learn how to follow Jesus? Are you in a boat with mature leaders? Are you doing anything in the pen, in the boat, that is actually preparing you to be able to get out?
How long can I run? Regret all the mistakes that I made when I was young, 'cause we're flying so close to the sun. Maybe it's different now. I changed somehow. I'm no longer 21.
The selfish gospel is about you and God, hyper-focused on each other. All you really are trying to do is know God through Christ, through the Holy Spirit. That is your primary focus, your singular focus. Peter did not instigate his own walking on the water. He said, Jesus, if you call me out, I'll go. Well, Peter was talking with Jesus. So the first thing is, I don't know if Peter really knew Jesus' voice that well. I don't think Peter was ready. It's great, though, that he tried. Jesus was there. And Jesus points out, he's not being harsh, guys, when he tells Peter, oh, you of little faith. He's just saying, your faith wasn't quite ready to step out of the boat. But I'm here. Good job trying, like A for effort, right? It's okay to try and fail. That's not the point. The point isn't be afraid to get out of the boat, be afraid to try. No, the point is that Jesus calls you out of the boat, and when you're able to recognize his voice, then you know you can come out. Number one, are you in the boat at all? Are you in a space and place with mature believers, some of who really know how to follow Jesus and are teaching you? Number two, are you ready to step out of the boat? Well, is Jesus calling you out? Number three, have you learned how to be out of the boat for great lengths of time in order to live outside the boat? Guys, can you be a Christian and not need to go to church? If you think that church is a place that you desperately need to get to once a week, because if you don't, you'll fall away and you'll fall apart, that's not good. That's not mature. You should get to a point, guys, where you are so close to Jesus, it doesn't matter where you are, because your relationship and your fellowship with him sustains you. That's why he's called the bread of heaven. That's why he calls himself the bread of heaven. Church should become a place that is no longer necessary for your faith and for your walk and for your nurturing and for your nourishment. Then it becomes a place where you can nourish others, and that's good. But then you're supposed to go to teach them how to get out of the boat and out of the sheep pen too. And are you doing that? Are we doing that? Is the church at all teaching people to know Jesus' voice, to hear his voice, to come out with him, to walk with him in the world? So the selfish gospel is, forget trying to do things for God and serve people at church. You need to spend a lot of time first developing your own relationship with Jesus. You need to be very selfish as a Christian for a very long time, learning to know Jesus.
'Cause nothing hurts like a broken heart by someone who loved you. And I don't wanna end that way with someone that's like you. I don't wanna end that way with someone that's like you. What?